Then just this past weekend, I was at my local flea market. I was stopped in to see the guy who works in a machine shop. He was supposed to be bringing me in some remainders because I told him I was looking for some stock to do a project. I'm trying to make a bushing for the arbor on my wood shaper so I can use one of these panel cutters that I have. And he kept saying that, yeah, he's going to get them from work, and he keeps forgetting about them. So 2 weeks in a row I went there and he didn't have them, but I happened to be leaving and I saw another vendor, bunch of tools, and spotted this on the bench and realized on his table, realized that this, obviously they'd been using it on the bench and as a little stand to beat on things. It's all pucked up. But I just said, hey, you know, that's a good chunk of steel. I can turn that down and do what I need to do with this, as long as it's free machining steel. So I gave him $1 for that, and then he had a box full of tools there that he said everything in the box was $1 a piece. And I spotted this old grinding wheel dresser, and I said, well, I'll take a chance on that for $1. So I grabbed that for $1, and no sooner did I buy it, I went back over to the guy I know with the machine tools, and I showed him. I said, hey, look what I just picked up. And I asked him, I said, do you know if I could get replacement carbide wheels for this? And he said, oh yeah. He said, they're right in the McMaster car catalog. He said they're the same style as he uses at work and some other holder. But so I thought that was a good deal for $1. So now I can dress my grinding wheels on my machine over there, my bench grinder. Pedestal grinder, actually. Alright, now I'm going to go back. I mentioned that today is the 10th of January 2015. And I actually just last week finished uploading the last of a series about a little green toolbox that I picked up at an auction. It's a little green toolbox there. I just broke it out again because I wanted to give an update on, I've already gotten some comments and some good information about some of the stuff that was in that box, and I want to talk about what I found out, courtesy of a viewer, and I think it was Tom Clue. I'm not sure if I'm getting that name correct, but thank you for the info. And what I found was, let's see, this little rod here that's ground off center, and this rod here, this one here, see these two here, these are actually parts of points for dividers. So I went and checked all the dividers. I try and keep all my stuff somewhat organized. I looked through all the dividers that I currently have in my inventory, and unfortunately I do not have the set of dividers that these go to, and they weren't in that box. Oh, I should say I don't think they were in that box ever. But I broke out these that I had just to show you. So it would have been a large set like this, only where these are one piece. This would have been a set that had hollow tubes, and then these points, or these parts right here, would be inserted in there and clamped into place. So it would have been something like that, but see how this has got a flat blade up here? It would have looked more like this type of deal here, and it would be a number, I believe, a number 85. So number 85 divider. And I guess originally, if it was a complete set from what I found on eBay, it would have come with a pair of these, and then remember these mystery items here? These are inside. These are to convert that into an inside caliper. So I guess you would take these out and put these in, and now you've got an inside caliper. You got something to do basically the job of this sucker right here, only larger. Okay, so that's that, I guess. So I'm thinking these two are going to go together, and then for whatever reason I've got this one long one. So I don't know if you would have one long one and one short one, or if there was supposed to be another long one that's missing. So I'm going to probably keep all of these together, and I'll hold on to them for a while, and then eventually I'll just maybe, I don't know, unload them on eBay or something, because if I don't have the caliper, I don't really see much point in me holding on to those. Oh, here's a short one. This seems like it's the same deal, so I'm thinking that might be a short version to go with that. And then there's this, notice this tube? I'm thinking this tube was to extend, well actually maybe this is one of the original tubes off the caliper that's missing. But in other words, you would clamp this in on one side and then this would clamp on the other part of the caliper. So I got several components to the caliper I don't have. These two blades here, I kind of figured these out when I was looking at them, that they go on the bevel gauge right here. They slide on here and you know, aid when you're using the bevel gauge. So that's all fine and dandy. My local flea market, the guy's got a bevel gauge down there. Looks like it's the same style as this, only I think it's a lot cleaner. And all that's in the box is just the bevel gauge. And the reason why I haven't bought it is because I didn't really see much use for it, especially since I thought I had one. But now that I see how badly I pitted this one up, maybe I'll go back and buy that one from him and then have these with the nicer one. I don't know. Plus, I think that box that he's got might be the original box. So that's the story on those. This was identified by one of my other viewers as being a, I think it was somebody else. Tom, if this was you, I apologize, but this is part of an indicator stand set. This converts, I guess this is for using on the inside of a bore, so you can use an indicator to indicate on the inside of a bore. Does that make sense? All right. This has still not been identified by anyone. This is the Zim tool. Zim Manufacturing, Chicago, Illinois. They have a website. Apparently they're a specialty manufacturer for automotive and small engine tools. I cannot figure out what this is. But now that I know what they make, I'm leaning more towards the idea that this is some sort of a grinding stone. And that the idea was that you actually use this somehow, maybe when you were, maybe you would put a valve. No, I don't know. I don't know what this is, and I'm still looking for help on that if somebody's got any news for me. So this is, again, it's got this, seems like it's made so you push this rod out and that dispenses whatever this is, and this is obviously a perishable or usable item that gets used up as you go along. But not a lot of information. I looked through their entire website and could not find what this was. Okay, so if you know, that would be nice. Zim Manufacturing Company, Chicago, Illinois. Alright, let me do this next. This, I'm actually happy to say, and actually a little embarrassed to admit, I figured this one out on my own, and the reason why I'm happy is because I was proud of myself for figuring out what this was. I remember when I first saw this, I said, oh, it looks like it might be just a piece of steel somebody turned a little cone on the end of. Well, when I was looking up the number 85 Starrett dividers on eBay, in the searches, lo and behold, I saw some ball-shaped things, and I thought, hey, I remember when I originally cleaned out this tool, I was looking through this toolbox, there was a piece of wood that somebody had made a stand, and there were 4 metal ball-looking things on that stand. And I did not know for the life of me what they were at the time. And when this toolbox got wet, and a lot of the items in the toolbox had gotten damaged from rust, I think, and this is the part I'm ashamed to admit, I think I threw those balls out. Today, I found out those balls and this rod were a set, and it was the number 88 ball set, I think they call it. This is for doing layout work. The idea was you took this is the handle so that you could hold the ball, and I think you actually held the ball down on whatever you wanted to mark, and then you scribed around the ball. So those balls were perfect circles, and this was the holder, so you could hold it, kind of keep your hand out of the way while you scribed. I believe that's how that worked. But If you had the original box with the handle and the 4 balls, I think it's about going for about 60 bucks on eBay. Now I have the handle and nothing else. Oh well. And the last mystery item out of that box, which you still don't have an answer for, we only had one guess, was this tool here. Now, I'm shooting this particular video in HD, so maybe it'll show up better here. And got some better lighting on it. But what we've got is we've got this I don't know what you want to call it. It's 3 pieces. There's this, here's the end view here. You can see this round piece, slotted round piece, actually keeps these 2 pieces together. So if I pull this off, and it's got a pin going right through it right there that locks into this, so it can't just slide up and down here. This pin will keep it from moving up and down this way. So that locks on there like that. Once you take this off, that allows you to separate these two halves. Now, they're locked together by 2 pins or 2 studs on one that go in these holes on the other. So you have to lift it up a little bit and then off, and then there's a pivot point right here that it appears to be riveted, so I can't take this apart if I wanted to. So if I don't know, what happens if I put this all the way around? There's no markings whatsoever, nothing. Okay, doesn't change anything. So does anybody know what this might be? The one guess I had was that this was a razor blade holder. That you would stick a razor blade in here, and then this would clamp closed on this. And I could understand why you might think that, except for, you know, maybe now that you see how this is, a couple of problems with that. One problem is, you see how shallow that depth is from the edge here to those pins? So unless the razor blade in question actually fit over these 2 holes, you know, then it would fit over those 2 holes and then you would clamp it in here. It's possible. And then you put this on to hold it closed. All right, I'm with you so far, but now you got a blade in there, and this is your handle? This is really not ergonomically correct in any way, unless once you had your blade in there, now maybe this is supposed to stick inside of a handle of some type. And now you got a very overcomplicated box cutter for some strange reason. So I don't know, guys. If anybody's got an idea on that, I'd be tickled pink if somebody can positively ID this. Otherwise, I'm just going to chalk it up to that we're probably never going to really know what this is. And you know, maybe if I don't think I have any of the old safety razor blades. Yeah, I was just going to check. I don't have any of those safety razors. But this is the classic single edge razor that you tend to see for these box cutters now. And so, you know, that the idea was that this would be for safety razors. And the determining factor would be whether or not those 2 studs are in the right place for the safety razor to go over, because the safety razor's got those holes. So I don't know. Maybe if I find one of those razors one of these days, I could check it. Well, hook some air up to this thing. Let's see. Oh, I'm glad I picked that up for $1.